Thanks for listening to the Tech Tools for Teachers podcast, where each week we talk about a free piece or two of technology that you can use in your classroom. I'm your host, Shanna Martin. I'm a middle school teacher, technology, and instructional coach for my district.
And I'm Shanna's producer and her husband, Fuzz Martin, and I bring the wow factor to the show every single week.
Wow-wee.
Wow-wee wow.
Yeah, episode 105. Wow.
Wow. Every time I hear wow.
Wow
like
upside down is mom.
It is. And you are a mom. A great mom at that. Every time I hear wow, I think, wow, what a difference. Blockbuster Video. Don't you remember the jingle?
No, I don't.
You don't remember the jingle for Blockbuster Video?
No,
oh my goodness.
I don't.
Well,
we had like Family Video and then like the local Harbor Video store, but we didn't. You had to drive to get to Blockbuster Video where I lived as a kid.
Yeah.
So
let's see. We're
my job
that's
is to
we get
make
an ad before an ad. You know how it goes on.
Imagine the perfect video store. It would have a great selection.
That's it.
Copyright.
Over 10,000 videos near you.
Blockbuster Video. Wow, what a difference.
There you go. You don't
Good
remember
job.
that?
No, I don't.
Okay.
So
I watched too much TV as a kid.
You did.
Instead of spending my time working on science experiments, segue.
You should have been using your time to work on science experiments.
I know.
Yes.
Because then I
Wow.
could have been given this talk instead of you. I mean, we both could have. Now I'm just the sidekick.
You are. But that's okay. It's good to be the sidekick. So, if you haven't figured it out yet, folks, today's website is
Wow.
Science.
Search out the best primary science activities.
So, what I was looking at with this site, because it's fun, it's another fun one to play around with. So, it's wowscience.co.uk. Okay, there's your website, wowscience.co.uk.
Mm-hmm.
And while it says it's got primary science activities, really you can use these at any age level. They're fun. It's a collection of games and activities and apps and videos and experiments and websites for teachers and parents. And it's all loaded into one place. So what's cool about this site is on the left-hand side, you have like all of your topics like animals, coding, design and engineering, earth and space, electricity, evolution, forces and magnets, habitats. I mean, they get all kinds of things. And then across the top, you can choose, you can play games, activities, apps, videos, experiments, and websites. So you can build these things into your classroom.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like a collection of sites. So if you choose to go to something, so if you pick like experiments, you click on it with your topic. It also labels them if they're free. They're all free for them. I shouldn't say all. Like almost all of them are free.
Sure, yeah.
So I want to do like the salt volcano experiment. I'm going to click on that. It shows you a preview of what the website looks like.
Okay.
And then you click. So it gives you like a whole like rundown of this is what you'll see here on the site if it's worth your time.
Yeah.
And then you click those little boxes that says visit site, and then it will take you to that experiment. So it's kind of like a 2-click process. But what's nice about it, you can preview anything instead of like getting too far off a page, before
right.
You're trying to find stuff like, okay, it's everything housed in one website. And then you can decide if you want to spend the time then actually doing that experiment or not, which is kind of cool.
So they curate the site for you.
Yeah.
What is the hourglass for in each?
How much time it'll take.
Okay.
So it like difficulty is the amount of brains.
Okay.
So little like aqua things like little brains. Like if it's,
3 brains.
Takes more.
2 brains,
to process. And then the little hourglass is how long the lesson is or how long the activity would take you.
Gotcha. Okay.
So like this one is make a naked egg. Woohoo.
Woohoo.
You can remove the egg from its shell. So this is like 3 brains and it's a longer activity.
Yep.
And then it shows you all the process of it. And then you click visit site if you want to do that science experiment. And it walks you through the process, which is pretty cool.
That is cool.
So what's cool about this site, wow, science. I feel like I need to say it that way every time because you're like selling something. Wow.
Wow.
But so if I'm interested in, I have kids that ask questions about, random things all the time. So there is, like, if I chose habitats, there's Kids Against Plastic. Learn how wonderful the world is, how you can protect the planet. Click on that one. Does not take much time. You can visit the site. They've got a video based on it. They have an activity, different things. And then it takes you to Kids Against Plastic on their website. So it's kind of cool because then if you're interested in it, it also leads you to more information, which is helpful. But the games, so some of these will take you to like PBS Kids and sites that you're already familiar, and some of these will take you to sites that you've never heard of before. What I was playing around with, several of them. So I know lots of kids play on PBS Kids often.
Yes.
But I didn't realize like Dr. Seuss has several activities within PBS Kids. And one of them is Marvelous Marvel Coaster, which is like you build a marble roller coaster, which we've seen these before, but this one is kind of fun. I mean, they're all kind of fun. You're playing around the roller coaster, but I spent, I can't say, maybe like 20, 25 minutes a day playing with the roller coaster. So you drag and drop all the different pieces in, obviously learning physics skills. And then they also have Dr. Seuss. Like the hat spits out a bird that will like knock the ball out of the way. Like it does like additional Dr. Seuss things along with understanding the physics of how the spring works and the different like shapes.
Little
and things
machines,
like that. Yeah. So that's pretty fun to play. And then there's also what we discovered before playing, two of them. Rainbow Mechanic shows you how mirrors would reflect light, like how the sun would reflect light, and you have to get through a maze, angling how mirrors would angle the sun to get the light beam to go through a maze.
Okay.
So you learn about like prisms and light, but also you're playing a marble game, like a maze game, I should say.
Sure.
And then there's also, I was showing you before, Switch Zoo, which is actually an app. So some of these are apps, but they also can link to websites. And Switch Zoo is highly entertaining because you get an animal and then you can swap out its head and its legs, and then you can read about the different features that these animals have, like in the real world. So if you have like a cheetah head and a zebra body and chicken legs, you can learn about the different highlights of how animals are created.
Oh.
And what like feathers versus fur versus how fast they run versus how much they eat. So you also can learn a lot about different types of animals, which is kind of random and fun. You look like you're intrigued with
I look
something.
like I'm playing the Cat in the Hat. Knows a lot about that. Yeah.
Oh, that's what you're playing? Because there's more than one Cat in the Hat.
Oh no!
Are you doing Invention Engine?
I was playing the Marvel. Marble coaster.
Yeah.
The Marvelous Marvel coaster is pretty funny to me.
Yeah. So yes, there's all kinds of activities, and everything's based on science, obviously. Because it's science. The activities are based around things. Students can either do some of these activities on their own, or as a teacher, you can build them into your classroom and spark discussion, or kind of do it as to me, this could be a classroom starter where you're saying, hey, like we're going to explore a new topic.
Yep.
Try it out, and then get their discussion going to see how they're feeling about it. They have things like, there's a lot of building kind of engineering stuff, but there's also like animals and habitats, and they have the shark quiz, and even from dinosaurs to bacteria to coronavirus, which is interesting. Like it's pretty up to date with all of the things that are involved.
Yeah.
And I like too that the apps are kept separate. So that way, if you have kids on Chromebooks versus kids on tablets, you know what you can find a little bit easier. If you cannot control what goes on tablets in your classroom, you can just go to the things that have videos and experiments and stuff like that. So
yeah, that's cool.
That's pretty cool. And they have a coding section too, which we'll be talking about coding sites next week.
Great. I see one with Moana.
Yes. It's been a while since we've talked about some coding things. So we will go into coding next week a little bit. And then experiments are things that kids can either do at home, or you can build them into like simple experiments that you can do in your classroom that don't take a lot of stuff. Because that's always the thing about you, depending on your science budget and your time and space and things like that, where you can choose to take materials that kids already have at home.
Yeah.
One of the science experiments is sock it to me.
Okay.
Get your socks wet in this experiment. Learn how sweat cools the body down.
Oh, nice.
So, yes, they've got all kinds of things. So it's just a really huge collection, but it's very well organized, and there's a lot of fun things to play around with.
Yeah, very well categorized too. Just from that left-hand bar has so many different kind of things that if you're exploring that way in your science class, that you're going to find the topic that you're looking for.
And it's definitely, well, it's geared probably towards younger students, I would say. I mean, from first grade on up, there are definitely topics that are covered with older middle school, early high school students too, where it would be a fun, 5-minute either intro or review or activity just to kind of break it up during the day. So that's pretty cool. And then the last piece is they also have a section just for teachers. And then it's a collection of resources that has both like lesson plans and activities. And it helps teachers build in the activities and the games into lessons. So there's additional information or other books or other sites that would help you then teach that content. So they've got chemistry and physics and general science. And so they have additional resources for teachers, which is nice. And you can find all of that across the top as well.
Wow.
Yeah.
Science. And if you ever have a site that you want to submit to them, you can also send stuff their way. They take it too. So if you're like, oh, this would be good for science, shoot them an email.
Yeah. They're always taking suggestions. They have the monsters, which I think are kind of cute, but definitely geared towards elementary students, where they have like Norpal and Tarkle. Tarkle's a robot who's always thinking of new games.
I was going to say, which of the 6 monsters do you identify with? Because I can tell you which one I identify with.
Well, which one do you?
Norpal.
Norpal
dozes all day long, but when the moon comes up, he's ready to play. He has a chemistry set at home and is always causing trouble. Favorite activities? Investigating and blowing stuff up.
Nice.
Norpal. Yeah. How about you? I'll pick one for you if you don't.
Like Nanomurph is cute.
Yeah.
Tarkle, the robot's always thinking of new fun games and monsters can play. His body lights up, which is very useful when they have midnight feasts.
Favorite activities?
Basketball and blowing stuff up. Oh, no, that's yours. Sorry, that's Norpal. Basketball and playing video games. Nope, nice. No, I would not be Tarkle.
No, you're not a Tarkle.
This one's good. Pippi is always on the move.
Yep.
Yeah, loves gadgets. Often can be found downloading the latest app while it's out and about. At home, likes to be in the big telescope, looking at the stars and dancing.
Yep.
Pippi. There you go.
Pippi. All right.
So if you're looking for the monsters, it says meet the monsters at the top, and you can see which monster you identify with, or your students. Because that'll bring them in. Oh, Nanomurph is cute. Likes going to the zoo and catching insects. Okay, anyway. So there is a little monster that goes with all of the different types of science.
Thanks for listening to the Tech Tools for Teachers podcast with Pippi and Norpal.
So anyway, there's so many fun things. And wow. Science. What a great resource. And even if you aren't a science teacher, again, there's definitely ways you can build these different activities into your classroom, whether it's, if you're looking at the videos or the experiments, you can definitely have those as just discussion starters in your classroom or exploratory learning for sure.
Maybe if you want to not grade the papers that you're supposed to be grading and just want to play the Dr. Seuss Marvelous Marvel.
Or that could be even turned into like a speech about like step-by-step process. Like, our eldest child currently is working on her speech for step-by-step process. So that could be an easy intro into many different classes, just so we can all play the marvelous marble
It just gives you an
machine.
Excuse to play,
It does. And everyone needs an excuse. You don't really need an excuse to play, but sometimes you need an
Sometimes you
excuse
feel
to
like
play.
you need an excuse.
Well, we just gave you one. Look at that. You need to
Congratulations.
check out this week's site.
Yeah.
Wow. Science. Thanks for tuning in. This has been the Tech Tools for Teachers podcast.
Like Joey from whatever show that was.
Whoa. If you ever have any questions, you can find me on Twitter at SmartNWI. And if you want to get more information and the links to the technology discussed in this episode, visit smartnwi.com. If you'd like to support the show, please consider buying me a coffee or two. Visit buymeacoffee.com/smartnwi or visit smartnwi.com and click on the cute little purple coffee cup. Your donations help keep the show going. New episodes each week. Thanks for listening. Go educate and innovate.
The ideas and opinions expressed on this podcast and the Spartan WI website are those of the author, Shanna Martin, and not of her employer. Prior to using any of the technologies discussed on this podcast, please consult with your employer regulations. This podcast offers no guarantee that these tools will work for you as described, but we hope they do. And we'll talk to you next time on the Tech Tools for Teachers podcast. Norpal out.